Hi, my name is Chris Magarelli, and the book I read was The Finest Hours by Michael J. Tagayas. This incredible, non-fiction, life-changing true story left me with a significant amount of value to the men who risked it all. With this book being based on a true story, I can compare these events to being similar as the movie The Perfect Storm. As they were a fishing boat with a crew of 6, they managed to be trapped in the eye of a storm, but unfortunately had no survivors. This one's a little different. This book takes place in Chatham, Massachusetts, a tiny outpost at the tip of Cape Cod in 1952, after 2 oil tankers, SS Fort Mercer and SS Pendleton, were destroyed by treacherous winds and waves. As it starts off, the main character, Bernie Weber, is introduced to the real world and faced with a life or death situation. During the winter, he is faced with one of the most dangerous and daring rescue attempts in history. At the time, the Coast Guard received shocking news that a T2 oil tanker called the SS Pendleton had split in half during the brutal nor'easter, starting with a crack in its hull that couldn't hold against a raging sea. Most of the crew members managed to stay afloat as the other half of the ship sank to the floor. Bernie, being 24 and is the oldest, is now set out with a team of 4 to rescue the men on board, but is with men that lack experience. And these names of the men are Richard Livesley, Andy Fitzgerald, and Irvin Mask, and they are set out to be the crew of the CG-36500. Just as action was being made, another call was in for the Coast Guard saying that another oil tanker called the SS Fort Mercer suffered the same fate as the Pendleton, putting Bernie and his men in a death situation to retrieve more men in the 36-foot rescue boat, being put into a storm with the waves twice as big. Right off the bat, they were faced with many death situations, as the first one being they had to get past the Chatham Bar, which was nearly impossible for the ship they were in. But they were here to define that impossible and went for the passage, which caused much damage to them and their boat. And they lost their compass, radio signal, and the boat's windshield, so now which made it nearly impossible for them to locate the ship. As both ships' crew members were running out of time, they were facing death-defying actions, and they must fight for survival at this point. The Pendleton was doing just that. They located a near reef to place their ship on, sparing some time that they wouldn't sink to the bottom like the other half of the ship, and they just waited for the Coast Guard to come and get them. After extraordinary amounts of skill, bravery, and plain luck, the crew of the CG-36500 finally reaches the Pendleton, and they're still shocked, but they're set up with another problem, as they must manage to squeeze 32 crew members on board a boat that was only meant to fit 12. As they're all together now and fighting for their lives back, basically, they must finish what they came out to start and what they were set out for. After many treacherous hours, they finally made it back to land, but unfortunately left one man behind as he slips from the ladder off the Pendleton into the water, and the Coast Guard couldn't find them after that.
One particularly interesting passage was Bill Bleakley's reproach on the events that took place. Michael J. Tagayas includes the background of some of the survivors on what they must say from the day that changed their lives.
The book states, by Bill Bleakley, "As I reflect on the loss of those several seamen from the Mercer bow on that first night, I cannot help but think how if the accident happened just a few years later, the men might have been saved by helicopter hoists. While not routine today, the helicopter's capability to hoist men off in rescue baskets can make a big difference in such rescue operations. Bill has some great advice for all mariners. The Mercer incident taught me a real lesson. Stay with the ship till the end or as long as possible. The sea is very unforgiving of mistakes." With the Mercer incident, stay with the ship till the end or as long as possible. The sea is very unforgiving of mistakes. The word unforgiving is powerful in the text as it empowers what tasks must be done, and second chances are never a thing. The slightest mistake can change your whole future, from living another day or making it your last.
When sticking with something you know and water has to offer, and in this case, it being shelter, what the crew did was the best move for them, as they found a safety place and made it work until help arrived, which no doubt saved them.
In the novel, Emily Dickinson states,
All but death can be adjusted. Psalm 139.
before reading this book, I was hoping to understand what these men had to face and understand the courage of true heroes. This quote signifies that every move you make having to do with your safety, there's no joking around, and you must give it everything you got. It helps me realize the dangers of life as I grow up to reflect it with every move I make and to ensure safety at the same time.
In the fisherman's prayer, O Lord, have mercy. My sea is so large, and my boat is so small. Psalm 29.
Based on this, every move you made, whether it's small or large, it should be approached the same. May you be small to the whole world, you could still put in a major impact to the lives of others and not know it. And to which, based on my reading, I do aspire what I read, as all the events are true, it plays a major role and impacts me than rather it being all fiction.
Will Rogers states being a hero is the shortest lived profession on Earth.
The importance of this quote is to show the strength Bernie now holds and its chance to gain recognition for his duty. In the end, I would recommend this book to people who enjoy a happy ending, as it will impact me in the future to never give up. As well as to show the importance of brave people risking their lives to save others. It shows you never to give up and always pray for the best and fight through it all with having a lot of faith at the same time. In the end, I believe this book did help me find my journey, and it teaches me courage and power to achieve the nearly impossible, which will affect me in many different ways in the future. So I would give this book 5 stars.